Good morning, Kansas City, and welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. I'm Kevin Kietzman, and we've got more new information for you today on KCMO Talk Radio concerning stadium issues in Kansas City. Pete Mundo with some great information on his show today, including the lawsuit that it looks like they're going to serve on Frank White, the Jackson County executive, because he is clearly standing in the way of anything the Royals or Chiefs want to do in Jackson County and has to be ousted. He's got to go if Jackson County wants to keep either the Royals or the Chiefs. That's becoming very clear. We'll have more information on that in just a moment. Also, why Chiefs president Mark Donovan wants to move the team to Kansas. He is all in, according to my sources, wanting to move to Kansas. There is one final hurdle. We're going to get right to that in just a moment. We'll also talk about some of the issues going on in D.C. on the broadcast today. We will take your phone calls as well. And we'll probably get into a little sports at the end with Mark it's a headline. Mark's going to hate this. A lot of people are going to hate this. Missouri Tigers are saving college basketball season. Because whatever I just saw KU and K-State do out in Utah against those two teams was unwatchable. And the Missouri Tigers are a thrill ride, man. What an unbelievable story. A team that did not win a conference game last year now has a chance to finish second in the toughest league in the country and scored 110 with ease last night against Alabama. We got a lot to talk about on Uncanceled, and we start with the Kansas Stadium issue. If you listened to the show yesterday, you heard Mike Brown, who's the chairman of the Kansas GOP, on Uncanceled, and he said he thought the stadiums were dead in Kansas, that there are no secrets in Topeka, and nothing is going on, to his knowledge. Even people in his party were saying it doesn't look good. It looks like it's going to be Missouri. I followed up with the question, well, what's going on in Missouri? Because everybody in Jackson County is saying that Jackson County is dead as long as Frank White's there. They failed one vote. There has not been a lot of dialogue between the mayor, the county, and the Royals and Chiefs. There's been more roadblocks. And now, as Pete reported this morning, there's a brawl over the World Cup, which is the least surprising new information you could ever have. The World Cup is the single most corrupt sports entity on the planet, and the Chiefs are just feeding off that, asking for $14 million to tear seats out of their stadium, which they'd planned to do for years. And now, as Pete reported, they were supposed to just now start this at the end of the AFC Championship game, and they've not, waiting on a $14 million payment to be made to the Chiefs. The Chiefs aren't hosting the World Cup to lose money. This is not, hey, Clark, thank you for bringing the World Cup here. Way to put your money behind this and do this for Kansas City. The Chiefs and Clark Hunt will make money. I love the way they make them honorary co-chairs of World Cup 2026, like Cliff Illig and Clark Hunt and all these billionaire class guys. They're not spending their money. They may put some up front. They're getting it all back and then some. They are not doing this to not make money. The billionaire class doesn't lose. Know that going in. The taxpayers will get screwed on the World Cup. You're going to watch $150 million go out the door between the city, the county, and the state of Missouri that goes to the Chiefs to host the World Cup. There will be some Kansas money as well because that's where Sporting Kansas City is in the training center. So Kansas kicked money into Illig and the Sporting folks. It's a grift. We know that. And now we know they're fighting over the money and they're not doing the work they're supposed to be doing in a timely fashion. Okay, awesome information. So do you think this frustrates the Chiefs? Do you think the whole World Cup experience right now, that they're not moving forward on doing their stadium for the World Cup, is frustrating to them? What do you think they thought of the vote when it came up and all these social justice and whatnot groups, DEI groups, diversity groups in Kansas City, Missouri came forward and basically blackmailed the Royals on the stadium thing? Hey, you got to give us money if you want to come down here to the East Village. You got to give us money. Our group, KC Tenants, the urban group, whatever that was, the construction people, the heavy contract, all these people. Money, you got to give us money or we're going to work against this vote. So the Royals and Chiefs were just like paying people off to try to get something done in Kansas City, Missouri, or Jackson County. You know what? The Chiefs have had it. I can't speak for Clark Hunt, but my source, 2 hours after Mike Brown yesterday told me nothing's going on in Kansas, I had a source reach out and contact me that I've known for a long time. He's a developer. And he said, well, let me tell you something, Kevin. The Chiefs have contracts on 5 different pieces of land in Kansas. The options on those expire at the end of March. If they want to continue the options on those pieces of land, they have to pay millions and millions of dollars after March 31st to keep those exclusive options. There's not public record because the Chiefs are a private company and they're doing business with private people that own land. They've come to agreement with these people that we want to have the right to purchase this land by March 31st of 2025. This was months and months and months ago. The main tract of land is on the northeast corner of I-70 and I-435 at what we know as the Legends in KCK. That's where Mark Donovan, the Chiefs president, wants to build a new stadium that will be able to close when it's as cold as it is right now. And CONCACAF could have moved across the street last night and played in there and host a Super Bowl, which will be a slam dunk guarantee for the Chiefs if they promise a new stadium. The Super Bowl will come to Kansas City and a gazillion other events, and it will be the biggest tax revenue driver you've ever seen at the Legends. That's where they want to do that. They have other pieces of land in Kansas where they want to build their practice facility and or their corporate offices. The pure goal, the pure money play, is 3 pieces of land in Kansas, all receiving Star Bond money in 3 different locations where they can develop around 3 different things, and the sales tax revenue will pay for 70% of all 3 locations. It's buying land. It's real estate, folks. And it's a new stadium for a world championship football team. A world-class facility. It's a great plan. I don't know why the state of Kansas would give them the Star Bonds on a corporate office building somewhere, but they would definitely do it for the stadium, and they might do it for the practice facility. If there's a Hall of Fame attached or some sort of attraction like the Dallas Cowboys have done in North Dallas, where there's a Hall of Fame, there's interactive stuff, there's an indoor stadium where they play youth football games. Think of what Sporting has done with all their soccer facilities out there adjacent to their stadium. That could all be there, and there would be sales tax revenue from all of it. The question is, do the Chiefs want the public? I know Andy Reid doesn't. Do the Chiefs want the public interacting in and around their facility every day while they're practicing football and such? The Cowboys do it, but the Cowboys are a circus. Chiefs aren't really like that. They're very private. They're buttoned up. You can't get near it. You think it's going to be tough for Elon Musk to get into Fort Knox? Go try to get into the Arrowhead practice facility sometime. Good luck. You better fly in on a drone if you want to get in there. They're very private with this stuff. So Mark Donovan, the president of the team, is all in. Like he's like 100% all in to Clark Hunt. This is the only thing to consider at this point. We're tired of Jackson County. There's nothing at the state in Jefferson City in Missouri. The mayor's been a bit of a pain. All these whiny, complaining groups down here want to be paid off. We're sick of all of it. We don't like the 1% earnings tax. Our players complain constantly about the earnings tax taken out of their check. And the agents hate it in free agency. They all hate it. When we go to Kansas, there's none of this. There's no grifters. There's no groups blackmailing you. There's no earnings tax. 70% of it's free. And he's like, Clark, this is crazy. And Clark's like, according to my source, yes, I like the shiny new object too. This is a great plan. But I need Missouri to tell me no one more time. So publicly I can say, we had no choice but to move to Kansas. Clark Hunt wants to be able to say, we had no choice but to move to Kansas. The state of Missouri wasn't helping. Jackson County wasn't there. If they can get rid of Frank White, they might be able to revive something in Jackson County that would keep the Chiefs. Clark Hunt has something in his head that he sort of wants to stay at Arrowhead because of his dad. He thinks Arrowhead is Lambeau. It's not. He thinks it's Fenway. It's not. Heck, he thinks it's Allen Fieldhouse, and it's not. Arrowhead's really cool, but it's mostly cool because of the fans. We've talked about this a lot. But Clark's got it in his head that this is their family's thing and that's their place, and that's great. And maybe he's loyal. They've been in Missouri since the 1960s. I get it. But he needs an excuse. He needs to be able to say, if he hears no one more time in Missouri, he's out of there. They're going to the Legends. Mark Donovan is pushing for it regardless because he knows it's a better business deal. That's where the Chiefs are. And this comes just days after the Royals announced that their deal is buttoned up, and nobody seems to know what that is. Mike Brown said yesterday on the record he knows nothing about the Royals in Kansas, nothing. I hear grumblings about something way south, 160th and 69 Highway. Some people think the old Sprint campus is still in play. The East Village is trying to be revived by Quentin Lucas and people in Jackson County. They like that site. They want to keep the Royals. The Royals are not playing at the old Kauffman Stadium. That's over. They are not renovating. They're not considering that. They're building a new stadium somewhere. And the way for Quentin Lucas and Jackson County to keep them was the East Village. We heard the Washington Square Park thing, but there's no development there to be had. There's not enough room. The other option might be north of the river, but that's a different county. And maybe, just maybe, the Royals are sick and tired of dealing with Jackson County and Kansas City, Missouri. And in the end, and it's a big if, in the end, if the Chiefs are in Kansas and the Royals are somewhere else other than Jackson County or Kansas City, Missouri, won't we all sit back and say, well, they kind of had to play the hand they were dealt? That Kansas City, Missouri, and Jackson County over the years did this. It's a weird situation. We've never been in a spot where these state lines are playing against each other. Everything else has always been renovate Kauffman, renovate Arrowhead, build Sprint Center downtown, everything we've ever done. Like even Sporting Kansas City, they left Arrowhead because the league didn't want them playing in a football stadium. They said, you need a soccer-specific stadium. And they went to Kansas. There was no competition. There was no other place for Sporting Kansas City to go. That's where they went. There was no competition really for the Speedway. The Speedway took the Star Bonds. The only reason NASCAR came here was because of the Star Bonds. There was no place in Missouri for them to build. There was no money available. It wasn't going to happen. They got the money, and they came to Kansas. It's sitting there for the Chiefs and Royals. And I know this, and I've believed this from the beginning. So I know Mark Donovan pretty well. I used to have a lot of dealings with him. I understand him. I understand what makes him tick. And the Chiefs president, there is no doubt in my mind from day one, has wanted to move that team to Kansas and build a brand new stadium. His job at this point is convincing Clark Hunt it's the right thing to do. And if Missouri tells him one more time no, or something falls through one more time in Jackson County at that sports complex, and there's not something close to half the money or two-thirds the money coming from the public, Donovan's got him convinced they're out of there. But that's the final shoe to drop. Clark Hunt needs to be told one more time no, and they're headed to Kansas. 913-408-7957. That's 913-408-7957. If you'd like to join the discussion, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think is going to happen on this important topic in our community next on KCMO Talk Radio.
Kevin Kietzman is Uncanceled and back on Kansas City Radio, 10 to 11 a.m. on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
You know, the lawsuit they're threatening Frank White with is designed to get him out. That's all it's about, is they want Frank White out in Jackson County to clear the way for maybe doing something meaningful with the Chiefs or Royals. Folks, this has been going on for 3 years. This was all supposed to be done. We're supposed to have shovels in the ground right now for 2 new stadiums or whatever they're going to be doing. It's been a boondoggle from the jump. Frank White won't allow himself to be taken out of office. He'll resign at some point if he believes it's inevitable to retain his pension. He's got a Major League Baseball pension. He can live the good life in Arizona and just be gone from all of this. I don't know what he's waiting on. I don't know if it's pride. I don't know what it is. He seems to be wanting to stand in the way like Democrats do of something that a lot of people want, and that's keeping a baseball or a football team in Jackson County. And he seems hell-bent on being the guy that his legacy is going to be. He pushed him out because he thought it was some kind of a bad deal in a stadium where he played. I mean, it's remarkable. You can't make some of this stuff up, but the best solution for both teams right now would be Frank White stepping down. If he walks away, discussions could happen about another vote or something different happening or whatever. There would be more momentum in Kansas City, Missouri, and Jackson County. But with Frank White there, these teams are like, we got to move on. We can't even consider this right now. We got to move on from here. We can't do this with Frank White in office. So they're trying to lawsuit him out of office.
Time's running out in Missouri.
Yeah, it's totally running out in Missouri. They got to get, folks, I can't say this loud enough. And I like Frank. I've known him for forever. He's a nice guy. He has always treated me with respect. He's been very kind. We've taken pictures together. I did a TV story one time at his house with all his gold gloves. It was the most beautiful visual thing you ever saw. It was great. He's been fantastic. It's just time to go. It's just time. And everybody gets that time. Or it's time to let go of this part and say, let's do whatever we can for the Royals and Chiefs to keep them in Jackson County. One or the other. Either join the team or get out of the way, because you're not going to be there much longer anyway. You're not a young man. It's not your future. Your future is your 2 pensions. You got a fat government pension with great health care, and you got a fat Major League Baseball pension with great health care. You love playing golf in Arizona? Go. Go. It's what retirement is. It's what everybody dreams of. Go do it. Go live it. Go enjoy it. All right, to the phones we go. We got Leonard up first today. Good morning, Leonard. You're on KCMO Talk Radio.
Hey, Keats, you know, Mark Donovan, he's playing 3D chess. And 3 seconds when he unveiled the press conference talking about the Chiefs and the stadium and all that kind of stuff, right next to him, he had Frank White. He knew that was going to get the ire and people so frustrated because he was the villain of all the people in Jackson County with the property taxes going up and everything. And so he just needed an excuse to go to Kansas. And just what, you talked about the differential of going back and forth between Missouri and Kansas. Wait until Kansas gets this property tax when they put a limit on how much your property taxes are going to go in. All the property are going to be they're going to plummet because there's going to be empty houses and stuff. People are going to go to Kansas because they know that they can't trust Jackson County with their property taxes going up. If Leonard, you want to use somebody, it's Frank White right now. He's the operative person.
He is the person. And I've said since they announced they were going to vote on this thing, and the Chiefs put out a 7th grader rendering of what they were going to do with Arrowhead. Literally, I could have found a 7th grader draw something better than what the Chiefs propped up. When I saw the renderings of what they wanted to do at Arrowhead with that vote, I stated publicly, was the only person saying it, the Chiefs want this to fail. And I'll bet if it was a public company and Doge was in their books, we would find that they actually worked against that vote. Mark Donovan is the Chiefs stadium guy. Clark Hunt makes the final decision. He's the owner. But when I say the Chiefs wanted it to fail, what I mean is Mark Donovan wanted it to fail. He wanted that to fail because he wants to go to Kansas, and he's trying to talk his owner into doing this, and the owner needs to repeatedly be told no by Missouri. I'm telling you, the Chiefs wanted that vote to fail. They do not want to be attached to the Royals in any vote going forward. They wanted it to fail. They wanted to use it as a chip. They got their way, and they are eyeing Kansas.
100%. And the thing is about it, and you see the scenes on the fastball, the thing is about it is that Frank White and what he's doing, they don't realize what happened in Florida. Once they put the Savior Homes and the cap, the stuff, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, people left. They flooded just an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours down to Florida, and the economies just suffered so much back in 91 and 92. And that's what's going to happen here when Kansas does it with the property tax. But Frank White is going to be front and center in all this, Keith.
I'm with you, man. Hey, thanks for the call, Leonard, as always. Appreciate it. Awesome stuff. We got Wes in the Northland joining us now. Hi, Wes. Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, hey, Keats, how much of Frank White's problems are due to the fact that he always wanted to be the manager of the Royals, but he never got the job?
It goes deeper than that. I told a guy yesterday I was talking to, and I hate to bring this stuff up on the air because Frank White is, to me, just 99% good, but we all have little traits in our personality that are not good. Frank White has lived his life with a chip on his shoulder. He started to get the chip because he wasn't George Brett. All right? He was just the second best Royal, which is a hell of a way to go. Travis Kelce's the second best Chief. That's pretty good, but he's not Patrick Mahomes. And so Frank White always had that. He didn't make George's money. He wasn't thought of like George Brett. There were a lot of reasons for this, and he carried it over. They made him a coach. They made him the broadcaster. He got fired from being the broadcaster for being too good at his job, by the way. He was a great broadcaster and told the truth, and the Royals didn't like it. When they were bad, he said it. I thought Frank White was great in the booth, but the Royals wouldn't have that. So it's been one thing after another with Frank White and the Royals. He got sideways with him, and he's not going to let go.
Well, as far as the stadiums go, back whenever they first did the tax increase in Jackson County to renovate the stadiums, I was all for them moving out to the Legends, man. Name me any place, especially in this country, but maybe the world, out there at the Legends where you've got the access that you've got, where you've got a world-class racetrack. You've got a great entertainment district out there. Kansas City is growing north of the river, and, man, I could get out there on 435 at the drop of a hat.
Well said.
It just makes too much sense, man.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate the call. For me, it's a no-brainer. I don't even understand. I don't know why the Chiefs would consider anything else. I can't imagine the aerials for Sunday Night Football, with the racetrack lit up, the soccer stadium, the minor league ballpark, everything. It would just be a beautiful shot. I mean, look at all these sports facilities out here in one place. And the Chiefs, there's plenty of land around that for them to develop and do whatever it is that they want to do around it. If they want to have their offices and training facilities there, they could. I think they're eyeing Johnson County for their offices and training facilities and a short drive down to the stadium. That's what I believe, and that's what I'm hearing. Uncanceled continues on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7.
From the nation's heartland, it's Kevin Kietzman Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM.
We'll keep the phone lines open if you'd like to join us on anything. I got some quick hitter stories here for you that I want to get to today because so much is going on in so many places. You can't hardly keep track. I mean, I come in here every day with a one sheet, and I've got topics, but I'm not sure I ever had as many as I've just got written down today because they keep piling up. It feels like later in the week, it almost gets away from you. So much is going on. Let's start this one. They recently grilled the United States postmaster who's out. He's gone. Like, nobody's happy with the post office. I haven't had mail in days. I guess maybe it's the weather. We also have a broken mailbox that they can't fix, one of those community boxes that has, 20 slots in it or something. And it's only 3 years old. And the main door that the postal worker opens and closes, they can't open and close. Like, they have to send some dude out that's 6'6" to manhandle the thing to open the thing up. And then he can't get it closed. Literally the other day we went to get the mail and the whole master box was open. I could have gotten everybody's mail. And this is a new mailbox. That's bad. Last year, the post office lost $9.5 billion. The year before, they lost $6.5 billion. Yeah, I'd say when your losses are up 50%, you should get fired from your job as the postmaster. Here's the worst part. Volume for the United States Postal Service is down 80%, yet they added 190,000 employees. Mail volume is down 80%. You added 190,000 people, and you lost 50% more money, all the way up to almost $10 billion. Sad news, the Pope is very sick. He has double pneumonia now, they're saying. The Pope Francis is 88. And they say his condition is improving and he's on medication, but apparently he's talking smack on his deathbed. He's bracing for death, telling everybody around him he won't survive. Giorgio Meloni, the leader in Italy, spent 20 minutes with the pontiff yesterday. Rasmussen polling says they've hit an all-time high on the right direction, wrong direction, no opinion poll. Is the United States on the right direction, the wrong direction, or no opinion? All-time high right direction of 48% in the history of Rasmussen polling. Amazing. And you know all this stuff going on with Russia and Ukraine and Trump. You heard Pete talking about it about an hour ago. Trump saying that Zelensky was a mediocre comedian and taking shots at him. Zelensky has now pulled down Truth Social in Ukraine. Seems like a smart thing to do. If Trump's social is just filled with Donald Trump blasting you and you're the dictator in Ukraine, you might take that down. And he has. I just don't understand why this is so controversial. Zelensky doesn't want elections. He's jailed his opponents. He's unpopular in his own country and would not win an election. Maybe 1 million Ukrainians have died. They've lost the land. They're never getting that back. Now soldiers are mad at Trump in Ukraine, and they're pulling their American flag patches off their uniforms and helmets, which really doesn't bother me that bad. We gave it a shot. We sent you a whole bunch of money. It's not our war. We are not going in. Not one American is going in there to fight and die. Ain't happening. Sorry. You've never been in NATO, and I couldn't care less if Ukraine's ever in NATO. Can you? Vladimir Putin has given the biggest concession yet. He said he doesn't mind if Ukraine joins the European Union. Well, there is no Ukraine if they're not in the European Union, not NATO, but the European Union. They're going to need it for currency, finances, stability, taxes, elections, all that. And Putin didn't want this to happen, but he's conceded that now and said, I'll let him be in the European Union, just no NATO. Give me the land I've got, no NATO, and this thing's over. What are we waiting on? Zelensky? What's going to have to happen here? I don't know, but he's picking the fight with the wrong people. Zelensky, this is how it works. You shouldn't stay in power your whole life. We like democracy here. We want free elections in Ukraine. We think they should be monitored and fair. And if the people of Ukraine don't want you in there, they want somebody else, we support that. I don't know any American that wouldn't support that. Now, we don't want the election to be rigged by Putin and some Russian puppet in there installed, and that maybe could happen. These things have happened before. They're all possible. But this war's dumb. This war's dumb, and it's seriously, it's time to end it. We definitely shouldn't be funding any of it, that's for sure, ever again. All right, back to the phones we go, and Jeff is up calling from Arizona, where I will be in about a week. Hello, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous here. Hey, my comment is on the Dodge and all that, finding out where all of our money is. When I was in high school, you might have remember her. We had a teacher named Mrs. Gascoigne. She taught business. She taught me back when I was 17 years old how to balance a checkbook, how to negotiate a price, and how to just do a budget. I've been doing that for 40 years, and she has saved me tens of thousands of dollars. That's all we're asking of our government, man. I mean, I'm a big proponent of putting Dave Ramsey in schools. So much could be learned by that. We do it. Why can't the government do it?
Well, I heard Trump the other night in that dual interview with Elon Musk. He said he wants the Department of Education and our schools to get back to reading, writing, arithmetic, that. And I'm like, there's something missing. And I have said this for probably 30 years. What we don't teach and what's missing now in the schools, and I raised 3 kids in the Olathe School District, and none of them ever got these classes. These should be the first 2 classes taught once you get to about 8th grade. And you should have to take 3 years of it. Advance, each year learning a little bit more. The first one is civics, which is pretty broad. We can teach a little American history in there. We can teach some Constitution. You can learn how our government works. You can learn about, overtaxation, the Boston Tea Party, all of these other things. The other one is personal finance, just as you said. You had somebody teach you how to run your finances. Our kids are not growing up understanding this in any meaningful way. If they get it from their parents, that's great. But here's the problem with a lot of parents. You can teach that to your kids, but they're listening to their teachers more than their parents, because there comes a time when they're 16 and they think their parents are the least cool people on earth, and anything their parents tell them is wrong. They just defy it because of the hormones. That's their age. It needs to be taught in school. If we raised every kid in this country to balance a checkbook and taught them that, taxes aren't really that great and you want lower taxes, if we just taught them things like that their life would be better off financially if they learn a few basic principles. Borrowing money on a credit card, horrible idea. Borrowing against your 401k, bad idea. All these different things. If we taught those at the high school level, imagine how it would shape our country.
Well, I wasn't a very good student, but that is one class I took. And again, it saved me so much money. And like a buddy of mine told me years ago, a third of our check goes to somebody we don't know, a total stranger. So, be more involved in where your money's going. Take care, guys.
Well said, buddy. Good call. Appreciate that. Mark has some breaking news. What do we got here? Just released. The turtle is done?
It looks like it. It looks like today in a House address, he's going to announce his retirement.
Mitch McConnell, longstanding senator from Kentucky, is going to retire. Wasn't it just last week that I said, how in the world does Trump have all of this power, authority, and momentum with this party, and they can't push Mitch McConnell out? That was a week ago. I'm like, how is he's running around in a wheelchair. He can't do anything. All due respect, go live your remaining days, whatever they may be, in peace and quiet, and get away from people making fun of you. It's terrible. It's a horrible legacy to leave, to be, pushed around in a wheelchair and all this stuff, that you can't even function. You've had strokes and had news conferences where you don't even know what you're saying. Somebody orchestrated something. This guy ain't going on his own.
Today he turns 83, so happy birthday, Mitch.
You know what? That's pretty young for the condition he's in.
Mm-hmm.
Because it looks a little bit more like 93 to me, and some of the things that he's dealing with. But I don't think there's any chance Mitch McConnell is leaving on his own. I think this was orchestrated, and everybody knew it. He got talked into it. There's probably a deal. There's always a deal in D.C. There's a deal. We'll name something after you. We'll name a gavel after you or something. I don't know. Something here in the Senate, a seat over here on the right side, the Mitch McConnell seat. We'll do something. Look, he did a lot of really good things for America. I'm not going to sit here and badmouth Mitch McConnell. But like so many in Washington, D.C., they outwear their welcome. You can't stay that long. What is Nancy Pelosi doing? She's never going to be speaker again. She's just hanging on for what? Go to France. Sit on a beach. Live your life. You've got hundreds of millions of dollars. See your husband. Hire security. Make sure a guy with a hammer's not coming in to beat up your husband. Whatever. Why? What's the pull? I don't get it. You don't need more money. Are you there because you're still getting stock tip grifts and you're addicted to this? It can't be power. You can't possibly be. Schumer, Pelosi, these people on the left, the older people, McConnell in the Republican Party, they have zero impact on the future of their parties. None. Obama's trying to hang on and still have power in the Democrat Party for what goes on in the future. The Republican Party belongs to Donald Trump. What he says in 26 in the midterms and 28 in the presidential election matters. Whoever he endorses for president is going to be the nominee. That's that. There's a power broker on the right, and it is not Mitch McConnell. I credit guys like John Boehner. Boehner was there a long time, and he gave it his best shot. And he's like, you know what? This is hard. It's frustrating. I'm getting beat up. I'm out of here. What does John Boehner do now? He's some kind of a consultant, makes millions of dollars, and lives the good life and chain smokes. What a gig, man.
McConnell is going to finish out his term. He's just not going to run next year. So they can't appoint a Democrat. I think there's a Democrat governor in Kentucky right now.
How many votes will he miss?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he might be hospitalized for part of it.
I know. I know.
I don't mean to laugh, by
It
the
would
way.
be a very short term to appoint somebody in the meantime. And that's the governor anywhere, right? Governor appoints that? And is the governor of Kentucky a Democrat?
I believe so.
Is it Bashir?
I think so.
Yeah, I think he's a really conservative Democrat. So, yeah, McConnell has to stay alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Turtle. I didn't mean it. Just stay alive till next November, please. Actually, it wouldn't really matter because it'll only be until November, and then Kentuckians will get another Republican and put him in there. That's how that works. God, we got to get some term limits. I don't have the perfect plan for it. Something sort of even sounds about right to me, like 8 years as president, 10 years for House of Representatives, maybe 5 terms is probably enough. 12 years for the Senate, 2 terms. That all sounds reasonable to me. And the maximum you could ever stay would be as if you keep climbing. You could potentially do 10 in the House, 12 in the Senate, that's 22, and 8 as president. So if you move up, you can stay, but you got to get elected. You could potentially stay 30 years, but that would be a 2-term president. After hitting all the other marks on all the other ones, it would be impossible. That would be literally like nobody would ever be in D.C. more than 22 years.
Sounds nice.
It does sound nice. That's plenty of time. The whole thing was designed for us to go represent ourselves. Not have the elite class, the billionaires, the millionaires, the movers and shakers going there to get rich, which is what we have now. We have a system where you want these jobs because you can get really, really rich if you stay in D.C. long enough. What a shame. 913-408-7957. We got our Minutes with Mark coming up next on Uncanceled.
From Leawood to Liberty, it's Kevin Kietzman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
There's an underrated song. That's Fleetwood Mac, right? Yeah. Was that before Rumors? Yeah, that's old Fleetwood Mac. Christine McVie sings the lead on that one, I
Confirmed
think.
between 3 rooms.
Oh,
right
yeah, no. John's on it. John's the one who knows for sure on that. I didn't hear her sing. I'm thinking that was Christine McVie, I think, who was a very underrated part of that band. I got to think, what a great band. What a great band. Awesome. Great to have you back here on Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. We spent some time earlier this week talking about that Delta plane crash in Toronto. And I have repeatedly asked who the hell was flying the plane? Because I've never seen a landing like that before. Have you? That looked like, when I was a kid, I had this this little plug-in, no, it was battery operated. It was a helicopter deal. It was on a string, and it flew, and you could make it go up and down. It never really flew off the deal. It was on a base, and it spun in circles. That's it. But then you would try to bring it down slowly and land it. And, when you first get it and don't know how to do it, every landing was just too hard to go, bang, it would just hit the ground. It didn't break. The whole thing was just plastic. That's what that looked like. It totally reminded me of that toy I had when I was a kid. That airplane just came down and went boom on the ground. Like, if those wheels had caught or if there was any give in them, that plane just would have bounced. They were probably lucky that it gave out and the wing broke. Well, definitely lucky the wing broke off. So apparently, according to reports, the person who piloted the plane was the co-pilot. Kendall Swanson, Kendal, that's a female, who 1 year ago was a small prop instructor in one of those little planes you wouldn't get in. And she was recently licensed to co-pilot a small jet. And Endeavor Air hired her. The captain of the plane, according to some, has some issues on his record, and we still don't know exactly who that is or why the captain of this flight was allowing the co-pilot to attempt the landing, other than to get her hours to help her become a captain, to move up, which is all the airlines are doing. In fact, United Airlines has stated a goal of 5,000 new pilots by 2030. 50%, according to United, will be required to be female or minorities, even though only 10% of those who apply are female and minority. It is impossible for that to be the best talent pool. Do the math. It's simple math. Simple math. That's what's going on. Donald Trump says he's personally going to visit Fort Knox and see if the gold is there. I love this. I love some of these conspiracy things coming out. The rumor is either there's no gold there or we've stolen so much gold around the world, it's 20 times as much as we say it is. But we don't know which. He says he's going. Let's check in with Mark. Mark, what'd you think of the Missouri Tigers last night?
Man, they looked really good. I was sad because they won by more than 10 points, and that was against my bet.
Oh.
But, they were looking really good, and they continue to look good.
Dude, they're saving college basketball from you. They are wildly entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
They are fun to watch. Win or lose, they are fun to watch.
Scoring all those points is a lot of fun.
They got a chance, man. They got a chance to do some damage in March. Team USA plays tonight in Boston, the hockey match. This is the rematch from a week ago against Canada. This is the finals of the Four Nations tournament. Trump is calling the team today and speaking with them. He cannot go to the game. He's giving a speech tonight. So he's personally calling the team as they're gathered in the locker room to give them a little pregame talk. That's pretty cool. What happens when they play the Canadian anthem?
Well, I know Trump's going to say fight, fight, fight. That's going to be in his speech. When they play the Canadian anthem, I think people are going to be fine with it. But then after they play, everybody's going to sing the American national anthem.
I agree with that.
Big patriotic thing.
I think it would be cool if they put the words of the Canadian anthem up on the Jumbotron and all the Americans sang it as if we love you.
Oh, that would be kind of cool.
That would be really cool. Or nothing at all. Don't boo it.
Yeah.
Please don't boo the Canadian anthem. We're better than that. I think we're better than that tonight. Messi scored last night at the 56-minute mark, 1-0 Miami over Sporting at Sporting Park. It was 3 degrees. I had a buddy, I don't think he's ever been out there, that texted me yesterday, said, I got to get tickets. I got to go see Messi. I got to take my stepson. We got to go. And they went. I don't get it. A little too cold, don't you think?
Yeah, I was invited out to go for free with one of my buddies, and I declined. But I'm sure it was fun for him and his son. I was impressed that Messi played the full 90 minutes.
Agreed. Yes. Blue Valley Southwest graduate Ben Kudrna, Kudrna, Caderna, in 2014 was at a game I attended. It was the wild card game at Kauffman Stadium where Salvador Perez got the game-winning hit. Salvi was his favorite player. Yesterday, Blue Valley Southwest grad Ben Caderna pitched batting practice to Salvador Perez in Surprise, Arizona.
Nice.
He's on the Royals minor league roster. He hopes to be a Royal one day. That is a life well lived. And my favorite college football coach, not the best, my favorite is Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State. He didn't care. He's Team MAGA. Nobody care. He didn't care what anybody thinks. They asked him about the pressure of the upcoming season. He said to the press, "The only pressure I worry about is the tire pressure on icy roads. And when my wife asks if I'm almost home when I'm only on the 13th hole." Well played, Mike Gundy. Dan Bongino Show is up next on KCMO Talk Radio.